Me change the paradigm of healthcare.
The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I'm the founder of Holistic Caring. We're based here in California, and we do educational programs and case management for patients on how to use cannabis therapeutically as a medicine.
We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing.
As the founder of Holistic Caring, I basically oversee the whole ship, and what we're doing is progressive education.
Cannabis actually supports all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. Because the plant was prohibited, it prevented health professionals, doctors and nurses from learning about cannabis as medicine.
I want to change the paradigm of healthcare and us paving the way into a new vanguard of medicine. And I'm excited to really bring this into light. There's a company called Cannabis that we're merging with, and we will now be doing global education.
It's about education, it's about empowerment, it's about teaching people how to feel good, bridging the gap from what they're not getting from traditional medicine, utilizing different plant medicines, adaptogens, tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs of information to support and nourish the most important system in our body.
And it's a lot of soul work, a lot of love, a lot of discipline, and meditation. I'm using my life work as a testimony to others to learn how they can be their own hero and then go help heal the world.
And we are, as nurses, the game changers. All right, everyone, welcome, welcome. Here we go. We wanted to start over because, y'all ready? Peace begins with me.
Me.
Oh. So we just rewound and started over. We were having a little technical difficulties this morning, having a little bit of a hard time waking up this morning, was feeling a little crunchy this morning, so I needed to do a little bit extra self-care and love. But
That's
here
so
we are, rise and shine. It is, what is it? Green Nurse Sherri and Denise time. So we're here with Energized Living, Green Nurse Denise from the Energized Body. And so we're going to start the day off with Denise introducing herself, letting everyone know who she is, where she's from, and all of the amazing things she's doing in the community with plant medicines. So Denise, say hello to our fans and viewers.
Hello, everybody. I am, as Sherri said, Denise Costello. I'm actually living here in Boston, and I'm the creator of Energized Living, as well as a green nurse and a cannabis nurse. And it was really wonderful, like re-watching, the little pre-video before. It just makes me so excited every time I watch that. I really, really do. I love what we do because I think it's so very important, because let's face it, we're changing the way we heal ourselves and the way we stay healthy. The old paradigm of, just looking at the disease or the problem or the symptom and trying to fix that and not looking at the cause, or really including all of the different ways that we can heal mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have access to so much to allow our bodies to heal itself before we have to get to the doctor or the hospital. And that's what Energized Living is all about, is how you incorporate those holistic pieces, maybe those different types of things that roll into your day. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I love that too, because when we talk about the most important system in our body, the endocannabinoid system, Energized Living and your hugs and nugs and tips and tricks and your 4 pillars really 100% support the endocannabinoid system. So for our viewers that don't know what the 4 pillars of energized living is, let's talk about them really quick, and then we'll get started into our morning ritual.
Thank you for reminding me that, Sherri, because it is nice to have just some things that you can stand on, right? What is a pillar? It helps you, like, foundation. So my first one is prayer. And what I mean by prayer is dropping in and connecting to yourself, because if you don't understand what you need and who you are, and connecting to spirit, that source, that it's just really foundational, because then you can't go forward. The second P is positive mindset. So our minds and what we think and say and do have a huge impact on us, because our thoughts and words are energy, and energy can create things in a positive way or a negative way. So it's really important just to really think about what you're thinking and saying to yourself and how you're loving yourself. And then the third P is protection. How do we protect? What I mean by protection is, like, what are the things you want to keep out? What are the toxic things in the way you eat, the way you live your life, your environment? What are the things you want to do to nourish your body? Plant medicine, how you're eating live, plant-based foods, etc. And then the fourth P is play. Yay! And what I mean by play, I mean physically enjoying life and moving and doing things in your area of joy, but also play means trying things new, having no expectations, right? When we go, okay, I'm going to learn a course, like, you feel like, oh, I have these objectives that I have to do. Play is like, oh, let me just see how this goes. That's the approach, is not to, overthink, really feel what feels good to you. So that's that's kind of the foundation here. I
love it.
So good. Living. Yeah. And it's
so
fun. It's a fun way, to live life and feel good and stay healthy.
Well, so one of the things we're going to do, what we start off every morning, is we're going to cover a couple of those pillars. Like, we've already done our prayers. May the best version of ourselves come forth in this moment in time, because peace begins with me. Right? And then positive affirmations and play. So play with the positive affirmations is what we're going to delve into right now, because Denise has a couple of cards that we're going to pull. We like to use oracle cards, the tarot. It's just a nice little subliminal message to start your day off thinking a little bit different. Let me just tell you, we all need to shift our thoughts every now and then, and this is just a great tool. So what do we got going on here, Denise?
So I can't believe this. This card I pulled was before our little technical snafus, before all of this, and it just totally speaks. I love this. Thank you, dear Lord. This deck came from Universe Has Your Back with Gabby Bernstein. And this is it's really pretty. She always has some really nice artwork. There's no such thing as a mistake.
Ooh.
Everything happens in divine order. I am being guided to learn and grow.
Wow.
So, I know. Is that like crazy? I love that. Because, this morning, you want everything to go right, and and things happen, and you're just like frazzled. And really, I was just like, when we were going through this, both Sherri and I, we just took a deep breath and we paused, and Sherri was saying some words in her head, like, to keep her focused as she was trying to work out the technical difficulties. And I just kept wondering, okay, what is the message? What is going to happen here? What's going to evolve? And if you go in that mindset, it's so different than nothing works for me. I can't do this. Everything's always messed up, blah, blah, blah. Look at the difference, And that's really what this is all about, is looking for the lesson in your mess,
blessing is in the mess.
Where's the blessing in your mess? What's the blessing in this mess today? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing that's going to lead in a little bit to today's topic, because oftentimes, right, if we're making mistakes, if we're stressed, if things aren't going the way we want, if things are happening in our outside environment, we need to have the resilience to take care of ourselves. Self-care builds resilience, number one. Number two, our choices are really, really important. And a lot of times people turn to substances that may not be in their best and highest interest as a coping mechanism. So what I came up with is, y'all know I'm not a big fan of alcohol. However, it's really important subject to talk about, especially if people are mixing the two. And with the holidays coming, we want you all to be safe. It is about safe consumption, no matter what substance that you're using. So,
Right.
we're going to talk a little bit about that. I found this amazing article that was all about combining alcohol and cannabis. So, when consumed responsibly, what does that look like? Both alcohol and cannabis can be a great time. In my opinion, y'all know I'm a little biased. Cannabis, I feel, is a safer choice. However, it's important to discuss what happens when you mix the two. Okay, so when you mix the two. And so there is a term that's called cross fading. And it's a term that is used when drinking alcohol and getting high at the same time. It can enhance the effects of both and can also potentially lead to side effects that are not in our best and highest interest. So Denise, do you have your handy dandy notes up?
I do. And, actually, I really kind of hardly even need the notes, because I have to say I'm one of those people, where I had used, alcohol. Well, alcohol consumer. I wanted to phase out of it, just really reduce it. And one of the points that they made in here was when you are adding the alcohol, sometimes it makes a difference, what you add first or second, what add first or second. And it was found that if, starting with cannabis, it showed in the studies that you were less likely to drink alcohol, or the amount of alcohol you drank. And I can totally attest to that. Yeah. I have totally weaned, off of that. But I find that when I do, I start with a cannabis, maybe a little microdose, or now I have these wonderful products where you can put the THC into your mocktail, which is great. We'll talk about that. I got a little mocktail, so stay tuned. But I found that when I did that, it made me a little thirsty. So I will admit, I'll do kombucha, but sometimes I like a beer. It just kind of tastes really nice, with the cannabis. I will not lie. But what I found is all I needed was about a half a beer. I didn't need 1, 2, 3. Like, I was content, with how I was feeling with the cannabis. And I just, that fizzy, and I'm a foodie and I like all this stuff. So I'm like all about flavor and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that little hoppy beer would be really refreshing right now with this. Right. And so I would drink a little, but that's it. I wouldn't go on to the next. And I was able to maintain my composure. I didn't, it didn't, because it will enhance the effect of the THC.
Well, yeah, we've got some trials. Yeah, and we have some trials that I'm going to talk about, right? Yeah. So when you think about the DARE class taught us, when taken together, when taking alcohol and cannabis together, that it doubled the effects of one another. But there's actually really no evidence of this. However, the research does indicate that the two substances do augment the effects of one another. For example, in 2015, a clinical trial found that the test subjects had significantly higher blood THC levels when they used cannabis along with alcohol, and combining the two led to increased impairment. In that same study, the researchers found that the amount of alcohol increased, so did the THC level in the blood plasma. So what these findings mirror is that they did a 2001 trial in which the subjects who had consumed cannabis reported more levels of euphoria and had higher plasma THC levels. So it definitely does demonstrate that this does happen, and also that more impairment is imminent if you're going to consume the both. So what does it make a difference? Denise said, drink first, smoke first, doesn't matter. And we've all heard these phrases: liquor before beer, everything is clear. Beer before liquor, never been sicker, right? And so does the order in which you consume cannabis and alcohol make a difference? Well, as a matter of fact, they did do a study this year in 2021, and the study found that when cannabis was used first, there was a tendency to consume less alcohol and utilize more cannabis, just as Denise had said. So the other thing that the researchers did say is that using cannabis first with the co-use day was associated with lower daily alcohol consumption, but increased cannabis consumption. So here's the thing, is oftentimes when people microdosed or using cannabinoids as medicine or even as a health and wellness tool, their alcohol consumption decreased dramatically. So here's the other thing. The researchers also suggested that the use of a substance in a particular order was not linked to consequences, but the number of drinks consumed was a predictor of whether or not the person would be more likely to experience negative side effects of drinking. So we need to think about this. This is really, really important. This has to do with our endocannabinoid system. So acute alcohol consumption leads the body to start producing more receptors in the brain, CB1 receptors.
So cool.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the reason why. You ready?
That's so cool.
Alcohol is toxic. Here's the reason why. So our body sees alcohol and says, oh my God, you don't belong in my body. The brain wants to be protected. The brain says, holy schmoly, there's something in here that really doesn't jive with my endocannabinoid system. So we start to produce these other internal endogenous cannabinoids. We start to produce these CB1 receptors, actually looking for our own anandamine and 2-AG molecules as a protective mechanism to protect the brain and other systems. As we know, cannabinoids are neuroprotectant, right? It decreases neuroprotectant, antioxidant, neuroplasticity, neurogenesis. So cannabinoids are really, really beneficial. So acute alcohol consumption does lead our body to trigger, right, to produce more receptors as a protective mechanism. So here we go. When we go a little bit longer, so chronic.
That's so cool.
I know, isn't it cool how the body is brilliant?
The body is brilliant. It is so brilliant.
Well, here it is. The most important thing is giving it its appropriate tools. Okay, so it's risk reduction, risk benefit ratio. When you're going to consume something, no matter what you're doing, it either supports the system or it doesn't. So here's the important thing when it comes to alcohol consumption, chronic alcohol consumption over time. Alcohol dependence is linked to a down regulation of 2-AG, which is one of our internal endogenous cannabinoids, as well as CB1 brain receptors. So long-term alcohol abuse depletes endocannabinoid tone, and in turn has an adverse impact on all of our organ systems and physiological process in the body. So as we know, the endocannabinoid system is the system that regulates everything. So now we're going to just talk a little bit about over-consuming alcohol and cannabis and what that may look like. So alcohol side effects when over-consuming. Do you still have your handy dandy notes, Denise?
I do. I do. So I think
let's talk about alcohol. Well, no, there's a lot here that people don't know. I'll go through them.
Yeah, no. I mean, my point is like we know what it feels like when we're intoxicated.
Yes,
we know what that feels like.
Right. But then the other thing too is what people need to understand is that intoxication, is dose dependent. And the other thing too is that it can lead to unpleasant behavior changes as well as other physical ailments. So large doses can cause that unpleasant behavior, risky behaviors over time, chronic inflammation, stress on the liver, altered blood sugar levels, electrolyte disturbances, inability of us being able to absorb specific nutrients, specifically B vitamins. So here we go. Over time, diseases that are related to alcohol consumption include alcoholic cardiomyopathy, heart disease, alcoholic myopathy, muscle tissue disease, alcoholic gastritis, inflammation of the stomach, alcoholic liver disease, alcoholic polyneuropathy, which is peripheral nerve disease, alcohol-induced pancreatitis, and then, of course, fetal alcohol syndrome related to women alcoholics who have babies. Next part, brain damage over time. So here's the interesting thing, and I don't know if people know this. So chronic alcohol consumption, those people that have chronic alcohol consumption, their brains shrink over time, right? Think about it. It's science. I got the research.
You got the
substantiation. I got it all because if
you got it
out of my mouth, I want to be able to substantiate with research. So
Right.
brains become smaller, they shrink. Short-term memory loss, right? And then there's this syndrome that's called wet brain. It's when a person has a lack of B vitamins in the brain, and that is caused by chronic alcohol consumption. The other thing that happens is encephalopathy, which is in the brain, which people have difficulty with vision, confusion, and coordination. So that's encephalopathy in the brain. And then we have hepatic encephalopathy. And this has to do with liver damage over time. Chronic alcohol consumption, our liver is unable to filter out toxins. And some of these toxins travel to the brain, which also causes the slurred speech and drowsiness. Finally, psychosis, right? Hallucinations, memory problems, difficult learning. And then chronic alcohol use, if you become an alcoholic, it's difficult to stop. And oftentimes I have seen many times in the conventional system, patients coming in that are alcoholics, and what it looks like when they're detoxing off of alcohol, really horrible. And I've seen some people die of alcoholism right in the hospital, right in the intensive care unit, having these esophageal varices that pop and they're bleeding out of their mouth and their stomach.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is a miserable death. You don't die of alcoholism, you die of alcohol-related diseases. And that is a statement of fact with a capital F. However, so now that I just talked about all the negative side effects of alcohol, does cannabis have side effects? Are there negative side effects? Well, you know what? You know I'm biased. However, I am going to be honest. It's dose dependent. Yes, there can be side effects, but side effects of cannabis is always dose dependent. There is impairment with high doses of THC, but there is nothing about cannabis that is toxic unless you get a bad product. So when we talk about intoxicating, I don't like to say that word when it comes to cannabis. I like to call it impaired if you take too much. Because like I said, the cannabis plant is not toxic whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, you know? Yeah. So we all know that our THC consumption is individualized, you know, and so someone else's dose and our dose may be very different. And so the side effects, like I said, we have to think about, we need to look at them closely. For example, someone's side effect may be the actual effect that someone else is looking for, right?
Right. Exactly.
So red eyes, right? Red eyes. Some people might look at red eyes as being a horrible side effect. Well, guess what? The patient that has glaucoma may want the red eyes because the red eyes is showing the vasodilatory effect of the cannabinoids. And basically, we know that people that have glaucoma have high pressure. So the more open we have the vessels, the decrease the pressure in the eye over time. The other side effect, Denise, dry mouth. You talked about that
Dry
earlier.
mouth. Yeah.
No.
And dry mouth, like I said, it makes you drink more water. So that's kind of a good thing. You know, you want to hydrate. But for people with ALS patients, that's okay because that helps with stopping the drooling, you know, for them. So for people that want that, you know, drowsiness, of course, you know, that again, that's dose dependent. And clearly, if you are adding it with the alcohol, you will be more drowsy. Fatigue is another one, you know, again, more dose dependent as we go along with that. Nausea, blah, blah, blah. I can't speak. Nausea and vomiting, you know, with overconsumption. Some people, you know, that have way too much THC, their body's like, that's too much. Disorientation for overconsumption, that can happen. Increased heart rate because due to the dilatory effect is that it is short lasting. And increased appetite, which could be good for some people. This is why we use cannabis for those people that cannot, who have no desire to eat. You know, so that is a positive thing.
And the part that's interesting too is this actually demonstrates the biphasic nature of cannabinoids, where lower doses do one thing and higher doses do something else. So cannabinoids are really good at managing nausea and vomiting. Well, if you take too much, guess what? It might make you nauseous. You know, same thing with the fatigue and the drowsiness, the dry mouth and the red eyes. You know, a lot of these things are dose dependent, method of administration dependent. So combining both could be a recipe for disaster, meaning that cannabinoids and alcohol together, consumed in large amounts, is concerning to me, actually, because it has to do with safety. So in 2016, there was a study used data from a 2005 and a 2010 National Alcohol Survey and found that simultaneous use doubled the odds of drunk driving, social consequences, and self-harm. So one of the things that they wrote in this study was that obviously arguments were more prevalent with drinking, less arguments with cannabis use. Violence was more prevalent with drinking, less violence with cannabis use. Car accidents more prevalent with drinking, less with cannabis consumption. So combining both, does the cannabis type that you use with alcohol really matter? So not all cannabis and alcohol is the same. We all know that. In 2021, a study of 274 college students who combined both cannabis and alcohol found that using both together produced more negative consequences than one type of alcohol or one type of cannabis. So the researchers found that combining just beer with cannabis, flower, or concentrate was significantly less likely to produce negative consequences, which included hangover, nausea, vomiting, injured self, or even drove high, had a blackout, was rude, aggressive, or unwanted sex. This is what it said. So the consequences of just a little bit of beer and a little bit of cannabis, they were significantly less to produce the negative consequences. However, multiple types of cannabis products used with one type of alcohol, right? Or actually, sorry, multiple types of cannabis products used with more than one type of alcohol was definitely more dangerous than using smaller amounts. It just kind of makes sense. So the most consistent finding was this. This is the bottom line. Using more alcohol products correlated with more negative consequences than with cannabis products. So we just need to be really safe. You know, the safest advice is this: don't mix the two. Know your limits, know what you're consuming, stay hydrated, have a designated driver, don't overdo it, less is more. Don't consume with people you don't know, stranger danger. Pace yourself and know when to call it a night, right?
Yes.
Right.
Oh, good tips. And I love that was a study with college students,
Yeah.
because that group is really the ones, combining, most of it. And oh, look, here we go. We got a little handy dandy mocktail here. So mocktails are, as we talked earlier about this California sober aspect, and with that is adding, switching out, leaning more towards cannabis than you are with alcohol. And we just talked about the different combinations that seem to work better. And this is a way of just kind of maybe sprucing up your mocktail. Maybe you want a little more of a kick. And they have some really nice water-soluble THC products now, which are awesome. And I just discovered this one that you see in the picture. It was a lemonade, strawberry lemonade, just like put in your water, 5 milligrams of THC, which is a microdose for me. And I mix that, and you'll see in the little video here that I added also this, I like a little bubbly. So I will use this nice lime mint elderflower that I got at Whole Foods, and always add like a fresh herb. That really makes a difference when you just add that fresh mint. Like, you will not miss, having this alcoholic beverage. This is basically how you make an alcoholic beverage. This is the ingredients, only they take the alcohol out. And then I always like a little bit of kombucha. This is a ginger lemon one. The reason I like the kombucha, it gives that little pop, that little fizz, in a sense, that bitey taste that you might have with the liquid.
The other thing
It's
too,
a probiotic too, which is good for your gut.
This is the other thing. So kombucha would be a really good topic for us to discuss, because kombucha is a live type of drink. It's a live probiotic drink. It is filled with micronutrients. It's really good for the gut. It has B vitamins in it and other antiviral properties. So that would be a really good thing to talk about. Listen, guess what? I have the video. You ready?
Oh, you do? Awesome.
Yep.
I just want to make one quick point. If you like beer, this kombucha tastes so much like beer.
Holistic Cannabis Nurse Denise Costello here. It's Friday, and let's talk mocktails. We just came off of Sober October, and here's an idea of a new mocktail that I really like. It's kind of summery and light, but it started with this THC water soluble. It's like a lemonade, strawberry lemonade drink. It has 5 milligrams of THC, which is light. So I mixed that up and I added a little bubbly of the lime mint elderflower, which you can find this at Whole Foods. Love this. Little healthy kombucha with ginger and lemon for a little pop. And there you go. You have a nice cocktail.
All right, Denise, that was awesome. That was really good.
Yeah, it's funny. Yes, it's good. You can really there's, again, it's like changing your mindset, on the whole thing. When you go to a bar and it's like they have this mocktail section, and it's the same thing. A lot of it that you're having with alcohol is just missing the vodka. So you can still have, still feel like you're engaged and with people and enjoy your time, and now we have our cannabis, which is a really nice way to kind of transition. I found that was the easiest way for me with all this. And you can see safer as the studies are showing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Leaning more into that.
Leaning more into that. So we do have a question from one of the viewers. Ashram Elder Care Consulting and End of Life Doula had a question about Delta 8. So we're going to cover Delta 8 next week. I am a fan of Delta 8. Maybe everyone's not, but I'll tell you why I'm a fan of it. It is less. It is one. Okay, so you have Delta 8 molecule. You have the Delta 9 molecule. The Delta 8 molecule is 1/3. It's 2/3 the strength of the Delta 9, meaning that it's not quite half of the intensity, but it's a really, really good product to use for people that are new. So if it's like full spectrum CBD, is whole plant medicine with trace amounts of THC. A lot of times what patients will do with people that are new is they might want to start using Delta 8 because it's not as intense as Delta 9. And so we'll get into the physiology of how it works in the body, as well as where it's sourced and some products that you can consider purchasing. So we do have some vendors that are in our Green Nurse approved marketplace that actually do sell Delta 8 products. So we'll get into that next week. Carrie Lee and I will be covering that next Wednesday. It's going to be a really good show. Hope you join us. So
I love Delta
here we
8.
are. Yeah, I know. I love
use
Delta
that.
8 too.
It's good. It's not
it's
so
good.
heady. It's more of a body. So
Yeah, it's more of a body. And I find at lower doses, it's really good at decreasing anxiety. It's really, really good. It's not as strong. So Ashram Elder Care Consulting, End of Life Doula, put your name in there and I can reach out to you as well. Make sure your mom's also using a high quality CBD product to go along with the Delta 8. It really, really complements one another. And, like when we teach on the endocannabinoid system, microdosing is of the utmost importance because microdosing actually mimics our own endocannabinoid system. So little bits throughout the day. So we'd be more than happy to help you. All right, Jill, awesome. I'll reach out to you after the show and we can get you hooked up with some good quality products and some resources. But anyways, if we look here, right here, I wrote, join the Green Nurse Holistic Caring Network community here. And so we want you to come into the community. It's a free community, patient portal for free, patient support group, monthly webinar, book club, and you don't even need to own the book, Cannabis for Health, Become Your Own Coach. This was written by Elizabeth Mack, who is the CEO and founder of Holistic Caring, from which all the green nurses are housed. We're all there hanging out, ready to help people live their best lives, right? So here we are, Denise. It is Friday.
There you go.
And Denise and I are going to go live tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes, we are.
And join us tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon, probably around 4:20, Denise, I think we'll go live. We're going to be at a consumption lounge here right outside of Boston. The Harvest Cup is an event that's been going on since 2016 or 17. I can't remember, but I've been going to it since it started. I'm a judge this year, and they're having a private party for the judges that are turning in their judge books. So I was given a series of products to evaluate over the past month. And I have a booklet, and the booklet I had to document and go through all of it. We're turning in our books tomorrow, and they're having a little gathering at the consumption lounge. So we'll go live so you all can see what it's like to be in a consumption lounge that allows you to use cannabis freely. And I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah. My
all right,
first
Denise,
time. Woohoo.
your first, I know, first.
Yes, I've never been. Can't wait to check it out.
It's really fun. You're going to
It'll
love
be
it.
fun. Yeah.
You're going to love
So
it.
we don't have to worry about, there won't be any alcohol there, you know.
No.
It's like, it's really cool. You go to these gatherings, there's no alcohol. It's such a nice breath of fresh air, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is a nice breath of fresh air. And the part that's nice too about these different consumption lounges, they all have, you know, different rules and what they do. It's like considered to be a private club, but this consumption lounge carries coffee, tea, seltzer, healthy snacks, right? And so it's a great place. It's really, really cool. We'll give you a tour. Like they have a bar, what they have set up. They have little Q-tips set up. They have little alcohol wipes. You know, it's really, really fun. Different areas of the place. You can actually bring your own food if you want to. You can't bring your own drinks, but you know, there's seltzer, tea, coffee, all kinds of things that complement, you know what I mean? So it's a healthy space, a healthy environment, and you can hang out and connect with people.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So anyways, this has been a fantastic, fabulous, fun fact Friday. Fabulous. We care about you all. We talk about things that people don't want to talk about because, you know, we really want you all to do what? Live your best lives and help others do the same. Yeah. So have a wonderful Friday. We'll see you tomorrow live from the Summit Lounge, the Harvest Cup. And remember, it is all about living your best life and helping others do the same.